So what we have here is the split seconds ruler, and what is spectacular about it is it begins and ends on the same plane. When you cut, it starts and ends in the same place. So for example, I have two pieces of fabric here. It's already been cut, but it's a solid piece and a block underneath. And what I done, this is a 15-inch square, and so what I do is I fold my square in half and find the center. You can also use the ruler, which has a 0 marking right here, and you can center it in there and make sure like 7.5 and 7.5 is right here. There's going to be a little hole drilled right here, and you're going to be able to make a tick mark to find the center. And then you're going to turn it around and do the same thing down here. Find your center. And then because this is a 15-inch square, we're going to go to the ruler and we're going to find the 15-inch marks. And then we're going to put the 15-inch mark right exactly where that edge starts and begins, and you can see it starts right here, 15 and 15. We're going to take our rotary cutter and cut through both of those layers. And when you use your rotary cutter on a slotted ruler, it's very important that you expose the blade, take your ruler and pull it, or the blade and pull it across till it locks in like that, pull it back, and then take your finger, put it right here, finger right here on this part. You're going to cut about 2 inches and stop. Lift your finger, climb your hand. 2 inches, stop. Lift your finger, climb your finger. Until you get to the end, because if you go like that, you're going to run into the curve. Okay? So we've used the ruler, and we've cut this stack in half. There's 2 layers, they're both right sides up, and then we're just going to swap them out. And so that now you have 2 halves for one block. And here's an example of why it's so awesome, is because the plane is on the same. So those points right there are always going to match right up. It's going to continue on. If you have a quilt and you've got it all finished and you have some scraps left over, and maybe all your blocks are dark, then what you can do is you can take whatever the length of the block is and cut some rectangles. They can be a 1/2 inch longer just so you can square it up. Let's say your blocks are dark, and you can do a whole bunch of these rectangles like this, and then you can line them up, and what you end up with is a really pretty scrappy border that makes it look, because they start and end on the same plane, so it's going to give you a curved border. And you can put them together however you want, and you can continue it as long as you want. And then when you get to the corner, the way you can do this is you could just measure whatever that width is right there, and you could put a little square right here and then the solid right there, or you could just do a solid cornerstone. Okay? And so I want to show you the quilt right here. And so here are the long rectangles right here, and you can see they were cut with the ruler here. And so these are just 4 patches and 2 patches put in between the long rectangles, because they're going to line up right here every time. Okay, and so that's the beauty of that. Another thing that you can do with this ruler, what is really fun, is to take it and make 4 patches. And again, you're just going to find your center. And the beauty of the ruler is it works with so many different sizes, all the way from 7 inches all the way up to 19. So you can use fat quarters or whatever you want. But basically you're going to find your center marks. This is a 9 3/4 or 9.5 inch piece. And I've taken the ruler, same thing, and I've found the 9, and I've centered it down on top of it and did my cut, right? And then I'm going to turn it this way and do the same thing, always working off the center. And then I'm going to swap those pieces out. So we have a 4 patch, okay? And here's an example of the 4 patch. And the way I sew those together is I'm going to sew 1/2 together first, and then I'm going to sew the second half together next. And this is a pretty gentle curve, so it's pretty easy. And then to sew the whole patch together, I just fold it in half, match that little part right there, and then I begin sewing right here. I put a pin down here so I end up right here, and it's not too straight, it's not too curvy. I mean, you can straighten it out right as it feeds into your sewing machine. And then once you get that part pieced, then you can open it up and put a pin right here and just sew to here and ease that in so it fits. And I haven't squared any of these 4 patches up, just to show you. They end up nice and square, and you end up with a very fun design. So that's called a checkered path. And anytime you have any great big prints or anything like that, you can use them. You can start with any size you want. It has the 4 patches on it as well as the rectangular strips. And so those are done right here. And then here's the 4 patches as well. And you can see how they always line up nice and straight. And I've used the curve as the branch on the bush or for the birds. So this is a little bit more interesting way to put 2 different backs together. And it kind of splices them rather than just having one solid line. So I'm going to stack up fat quarters, and I'm going to stack them into 4 layers, and then I'm going to take my ruler, and it's not as important to start and end in the same place with this particular block because it's not going to line up with anything, but you can take it and you can use the ruler and cut. I think I had this block rotated. And you can see the different cuts here, and you can move it down a little bit. You can turn it around this way and use it all different ways. And if you'll notice, these 2 fabrics are the same, these 2 are the same, these 2 are the same, and then this is different. So then that means you have 4 different fabrics. And the way that happens, and this is an old sample, but it will give them the idea, right? Is that when you have 4 layers, you use your ruler and you cut. Then we're going to leave these stacks in place. We're going to move in one position, and we're going to take one off the top and move it to the bottom. Okay? We're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to take one off the top and move it to the bottom. Then we're going to move in to the next position. We're going to take 2 pieces off. So 1 and 2. All right. There's more layers here. This is for the other example, but it gives you the idea. And then for this last piece, this will be for piece number 4. There we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different layers. And you can see they're the same, these are the same, these are the same, and that one's the same. And that's how this block happens. And then of course with each block, the pieces will move in. So each block will be different, a different assortment of fabric. So here I have 2 pieces of fabric. They're 11 inches long. And I have 2 pieces. They're both layered right side up. So what I would do is I would find the exact center, and you can do it 2 different ways. You could fold it in half, increase it, and find your center. Or you can use the ruler and center it, and there'll be a little, this is like right between the 3, there'll be a little hole right here that I can make a tick mark. So you'll find the center at both ends. All right, and then you'll find this is an 11, so I'm going to go to the 11-inch mark. I'm going to put it right there on the edge, and so I lied, it's 11 and a half. Sorry about that. So the way you're going to cut that is you're going to lay it like this, and then you're going to bring your rotary cutter over, and you're going to lock in. So slide it across till it drops in, then back up, finger right here, put your other 2 fingers right here, and you're going to cut about 2 inches. Lift your finger, climb this finger. Lift, climb. So once we've made that cut, then we can swap the 2 pieces out. And if you just wanted to make a fun block, another thing that you could do would be to take this piece, turn that one around, and make a fun block that way as well.